how do you vet those deals or, different situations that come up? Brands are pitching you all the time. We want to work with this guy, this guy, this guy. You have 10 plus guys. How are you vetting? How do you tell them no? Or, what are those deciding factors, some of those deciding factors?
Yeah, I mean, every situation is kind of different, I would say. And the biggest thing now in the NBA, outside of the actual game, is the tunnel walk and the tunnel fit and what guys are wearing. I think, as you said, the Instagram and Twitters of the world with League Fits and Balls Life and all these companies that are covering what the guys are wearing and the photographers are getting them coming out of the hotel, it's really taken on a life of its own that, quite honestly, like 3-4 years ago, nobody really cared. Like, people would be like, oh, this guy's into fashion, and it would be, but now it's like, okay, what's he wearing? Where did he get it from? Who got it for him? Where do you shop at? Like, all of those questions are being asked. And so our job on the agency side is like, hey, yeah, it's great that he's spending his money on Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Bad Section or Siegelman Stables, but like, how do we get, marketing dollars out of that? So on our side, it's, hey, identifying the right brands, minimal, like where we can build a partnership with them. I think every kind of company is at a different stage. As Max said, he's never spent $1 on marketing. Minimal.
We spent
spend some dollars. So you guys, for our job is to go out and find those right opportunities and find, the right brands that want to either pay our guy to wear it or, the cool brand that's going to get them that jump in Instagram following. So it varies across the board. And for us, we don't always get dollars out of it, but if you can get free products, sometimes that's all the guy really wants.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I was going to ask. To follow that up, like, is it sometimes the opposite, where like the player will come to you and say, hey, we want to work with this brand, or hey, can you get me stuff from this brand? Those are common situations, right?
I get a lot of sports agents, You guys are savages.
I'm not a big Colby.
But no, the tunnel walk, I think helped get us where we're at now. He took advantage, I guess 3 years ago, maybe before you guys started to get into it. It was like, that was it for us.
Yeah.
Like, the way we broke into the NBA was, I got the address to the bubble when during COVID, they did the bubble in Disney. So all teams were just like bunkered down in Disney, all staying at the same hotel, playing on the same court. All I did was change the player name and the team name. I sent this to 15 guys, and I had like LeBron viewing our Instagram story with like 15 followers on Instagram. That was the best thing that we could have done to start our brand.
Yeah, so like for us, the fashion space gets cut out a lot right away because these guys, these athletes, the biggest thing for them is their sneaker deal, what they're playing with on court. And so most of these guys out of school are signing with Nike, Adidas, Li-Ning, Peak, all these different shoe brands. And depending on who you're signing with, Puma, all of those type of companies, depending on who you're signing with, they're very strict in where the exclusivity lies. Nike's notoriously tough about, doing additional deals because they want to carve out every single part of the apparel space, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, anything that they make, you can't necessarily do a deal with if you're endorsed, if you're a Nike endorser, Adidas similar. And our job is to, one, carve out those opportunities, but two, find other opportunities that could make sense. So for example, Jalen Brunson's a good one. We did a partnership, I'm actually wearing pants. Faraday, which is a clothing brand based out of New Jersey. We kind of were in discussions with them when he came to New York. Two local brothers from the Jersey Shore. There was a ton of synergy, and we kind of had to come together with them. And it was an education process on both sides, for us and for them, because at first they were like, hey, we want him to endorse our brand and we'll pay him X, but we want all of these things. And we had to come back and say, well, you can't do t-shirts, which is a core of their business. You can't do socks, you can't do shorts. But, we found those right, pants, certain jackets, certain things that Faraday made that Nike didn't make, and we had to specifically align on that. So that was, for us, a big opportunity for him to grow, and they paid him some money, but I think, the goal is to create a capsule collection together and create something together where it's a fit that works for everybody. So for us, we have to find the right opportunities, but also can't go against the sneaker deals, because the last thing you want to do is, you're playing Kobe's one day, and then all of a sudden Nike gets mad because you do a deal with a fashion brand that they consider themselves a competitor to, and they're like, hey, we're getting rid of your Nike deal. And that's usually the highest deal that they do, money-wise. So that's a big thing. And then
Trumps everything.
Yeah, it trumps everything for the most part. So we're very cognizant of that. But at the same time, when guys are getting opportunities or looking at different things, Mackenzie's Crocs deal was an interesting conversation that came about, just given that in the NIL space, not a lot of these guys are doing traditional deals with the sneaker brands. They're playing in them, but they're not tied to them. So when the opportunity came for him to be able to work with Crocs, we jumped at the opportunity, Crocs being a major brand, willing to pay him money, great opportunity for him at being a college student, and the exposure has been great. I think that's the other thing is you do a lot of these things because the exposure is just as good as the money. Wearing different brands that get picked up by different things is awesome for a lot of these guys as they're trying to grow their following. So whether fashion deals, the dollar amounts aren't as much the key as the exposure and what actually works and what fits into what these guys want to be about. So